elevation.
Cool and Dre.
Big blunts, dope boys wanna smoke with me. Now we ride double M's through the whole city. Niggas talking down, but they always feel me. A 9-figure nigga, all I wanna talk is business. I seen a big mouth get a closed casket. Self-made, took over the whole racket. A kilo after kilo, see who moved the most. 200 for
What's going on, guys? Dropping in for another stock analysis. This will be a Patreon promotional. It's going to go on my Patreon first and then find its way on YouTube as usual. All right. Those on YouTube, welcome to my channel, Goofy Investing. This is the underground where growth is the oath. We specialize in mid and small cap equities with the actual future promise of capital appreciation and so forth, okay? So hit the like button, all right? And if you find value, go ahead and hit the subscribe, all right? So we're going to be taking a look at a materials play, all right? HydroGraph Clean Power, ticker HGRAF, trades on the over-the-counter market, $6.08 a share. Market cap right now is 2.16 billion. All right. What do they do and where are they headquartered? And importantly, where are they going to be headquartered? All right. Such a small description, you easily pass through it. Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. So this is a Canadian equity right now. The company plans on re-domiciling to the United States. They're going to headquarter in Austin, Texas. And they're planning on uplisting on the NASDAQ. A lot of exciting stuff happening for this company. This is their sectors in materials and their industry is specialty chemicals, and they specialize in the production and manufacture of high quality graphene. Graphene is a super material made out of graphite, and some other things need to happen throughout the actual purification process where this company comes into play. For all extensive purposes, this is a pure play on graphene. I do not, in disclosure, I do not hold a position in this equity, all right? So graphene, what is it? It's once again, it's a super material. It's a lot of the applications of graphene is a sheet, all right, a very thin sheet of material, and apparently supports a lot of weight, and it's very light, very durable and agile, you know, and the majority of the graphite infrastructure of actual e-commerce, the supply is coming out of China. This company eliminates the need for China export and import, so forth, to where the United States can be, how do you say, independent, recluse, not needing China for this actual material. What is the actual application for graphite material? Well, construction, microchip processing, you know, there's a lot of military application graphite can be applied to. So definitely a future market for this, all right? So let's talk about the business model, but first, before I go too far, let's take a little sniff check on their balance sheet. Okay, 1.52 million in debt, 20.02 million in cash. Net cash position, strong balance sheet, love to see it. All right, let's look at actual sales. What do you know? Pre-sales, guys. All right, the company does not have sales. I believe this 0.01 is a typo. We'll go to our quarterly. Yeah, little typo. They do not have sales. All right. So that's the disclosure right there. We'll go to their cash flow statement. They burn 10.2 million on a quarterly basis. They're burning single digits into the millions per quarter. All right. We'll go down to their free cash flows. Same idea, negative free cash flows. I'd expect nothing less with no sales and because of their need for SG&A and R&D on their OPEX. Okay. All right, so let's look into their investor slide deck because we got a 2.16 billion valuation of the market cap and we have no sales. So what we got to do is we got to focus on the business model, and then you have to award valuation towards their IP story, etc. Spoiler alert, I'm not going to do that in this video. I will do that on a deep dive later to be posted on my Patreon. All right. So let's talk about this business model, okay? So, once upon a time in Kansas State University, a scientist, discovered the processing of the making of graphite through an explosive synthesis process. Okay, and this actual explosive detonation process is used through this IP patented technology product, as you see right here. These are Hyperion detonation generators or reactors. Okay. All right. So this is the actual main byproduct IP property, plant, and equipment of the business model. Okay. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about these reactors. Okay. Low capex, we're looking at 10 to 15 million to fuel of capex to generate over 100 million in sales. So the company claims, all right, new unit production can be built in 2 to 3 months. So take a few months to build one of these out. All right. Their current scalable product capacity is 10 tons per year. I've done research. They plan on this year, they plan on expanding scalable production capacity to the hundreds of tons per year. All right. Um, Graphene is being tested by more than 65 active customers. So there is a market for this demand. Okay. How much will the market on their TAM expand? Yet to be seen. All right. Um, you know, Eco-friendly, clean energy, if you will. There's no oil residue, stuff like that. All right, so that's good. All right, so they should get a eco score on their actual equity, which may help and enable different funds to come in. All right, 20 employees, very small company. I'd expect capex to go up with the actual manufacturing plan build out. They do have plans to build a manufacturing facility in Texas near the Houston area. So with the actual uplisting and the raising of capital, that's going to pretty much pay for all of that. All right, going in. So good setup for future investors going in. The capex and the invested capital is already going to be made at that point in time. All right, 3 patents granted, 9 pending, and 7 provisional. All right, the 3 and 9. All right, the patented granted and 9 pending, great protection. And the provisional, typically on provisional patents, you'll have border jurisdictions that actually protect that piece. So I'm not concerned about it because this actual play is going to be catered towards NATO powers probably. And the business model is the actual escape of dependency on China for graphite. All right. So even if they expanded in those access countries, a lot of the patents wouldn't be enforceable anyway. All right. So that's something to consider. So that strikes out the need. All right. So provisional patents, fine. All right. So leadership team. All right. Very young CEO, Kirsten Brewer. I think she knows how to talk real well. She's got the tools to be a CEO, and she's got some vision on the concept of this company and where it's going. I've seen good several interviews and did a lot of research. So I think that, I like that idea that she is going to be the CEO of this company. Great management team here, well qualified, a lot of education stuff happening, a lot of professors and scientists and so forth. This CFO, Matt Anderson, okay, that's no longer the CFO. The new CFO is John Neal. That was actually announced, let me see here. That was announced February 23rd, all right? So brand new CFO to come. Next earnings probably be the new CFO on there, all right? So let's talk about some other stuff, all right? Let's talk about total addressable market, all right? What is graphene applicable to? Well, it could be used in lubricants, all right, composites, some coating, and then concrete and cement and energy storage. All right. So, where do I think that these actual applications will start striking first on their contracts for the first sales? Well, I think that even though cement and concrete has the biggest total addressable market, I'm not so convinced that scale will start happening with sales right away in cement and concrete, although I hope I'm wrong. But I think energy storage right now, because there's a lot of capex towards energy efficiency with these new data centers. So graphene coating exposure on some of these semiconductors can be applicable. The business model of replacing silicon or and using different materials. Who says we can't double dip and use these new materials with another coating of graphene to garner and harness even more energy efficiency and longevity in the product. So that way less wear and tear can happen, all right, or less wear and tear needs to be maintenance throughout and affect the loss of energy on the actual income statement for depreciation and amortization of property, plant, and equipment. So I think that batteries, it's going to kick in the battery arena. I think lubricants and composites. I like composites right here. Reinforcing of piping, what have you. I think that that would be a low hanging fruit industry to start landing some sales. All right. So they have a commercialization process. I mean, there are still some regulations that need to be passed through licensing, usually environmental regulations, but with this being a clean energy play, I don't think that they're going to have too many issues blowing past and get proper licensings and certifications, okay? Um, so they're selling the pitch that their primary target are composites and batteries. I can buy that. Like we talked about. I think that yes, they have a target market. I think that TAM will expand as the product is proved out over time, and that takes time to prove out. It's not a they deploy the product on there and then 2 months later everybody's saying, "Oh, it's good." All right. Probably going to take a year or two for the industry to start realizing that this is the real deal on the actual product offering. All right. So let's talk about this Hyperion system. All right. These Hyperion detonation reactors, you know, this is the actual product. They will do gas injection to detonate an explosion to spit out the pure graphene. I'm not a scientist, and I'm not going to pretend to be, but essentially the materials get ran through this machine, and then as you can see right here, there's the reaction and explosion happens, and then pure graphene comes out on the other end. Okay. Now, this source, they're going to keep building larger facilities to where we're independent of China for the source of graphite. What's special about this company versus all the other graphene stocks or whatever? This is the pure play. When it spits out the graphene, you're looking at around 94 to 95% purification of graphene. So these other companies, they will do graphene-ish S like stuff to where the purity levels are 10-15%. So this is where the moat comes in with this IP and actual processing process. This is where the company is going to generate moat. And the higher and graphene that's sold on the market by grade, the higher the grade of purity, the more expensive that graphene is going to be. All right. So this is the premium. They're the pure play of graphene on the premium product offering for that whole industry. I'm not tracking. There's another company to match that. All right. So these actual reactors, okay, they're about 6.5 feet by 6.5 feet. So think about an NBA player that's 6.5 feet. That's how wide it is. Okay, and that's on a cubicle, and that's on a cubicle scale. All right, 6.5 by 6.5. So pretty wide. These reactors are about 20 feet high. All right. So when they do warehousing, you're going to see a bunch of these, Hyperion detonation reactors in the warehouse doing their thing on, and capitalizing on the actual supply to ship out. Okay, so here are the actual patented technology numbers. I'm going to verify all of this when I do the deep dive to make sure those patents are actually legit and go through. But I like how the company has pretty much outlined all of this. And, my impression of the company and their investor slide deck, or actually before I go into that, let's look at a little bit of capital structure. 22 million in options warrants, 20 million in warrants outstanding, and 357 million fully diluted. I like these. I like this setup. You got a little bit of derivatives here and there on the options and warrants. Excuse me, but all in all, that's very minuscule for a company with this type of TAM trajectory and actual storyline and everything. So really a no-brainer here. Very with a grain of salt. I don't see these options or warrants being a threat in the future. All right, and those will they will vest, and they will be converted and so forth as the stock goes up. In fact, good chance that these things are being exercised right now as we speak. Okay, so my impression. All right, Matt Krebs, investor relations. I really like this investor relations officer. I think he's doing a really good job. This slide deck, this pitch deck is really good. This gives me everything I need to know. And actually everything I need to know about pricing their valuation, story, price targeting. I could do it all with the information in this deck and come up with a valuation on my own, which once again, we'll go into the deep dive. All right. I think that this is an emerging market, although graphene has been around for over a decade. It's just never been capitalized on. A lot of companies haven't really, or the market hasn't really, executed on the actual dream of the material itself. This is the company that's doing it real time and putting it to the test, and that can serve well for investors if they demonstrate growth of sales and the actual productivity into the market injection and contribution to society will reflect that productivity. The majority of this valuation, all right, what is it? Well, it's the valuing of their IP and story. The question is this IP and story valuation worth 2.16 billion? Well, as of right now, the market says so, and that's what the market is pricing their IP and valuation. That's where we come into play as, high-level growth investors to actually price the IP ourselves, price the story ourselves, and come up with our own conclusion and going forward to see if this is worth it or not. All right. So that's what I got here, guys. Is it a good investment or not? I think that right off the top of my head, exposure into this industry, if you don't have a materials play in your portfolio and you're interested in having one, this could be it. All right. But, the deep dive will reflect on whether this is, when I crunch all the valuation and price their IP and all that on the deep dive, it's going to explain all of that. So, if you got value out of this video, all right, thumbs up, subscribe, all right, check out my Patreon, all right, get access to buy and sell alerts, get access to my deep dive collection, be with like-minded investors. You'll get development and community and so forth. You get exclusive content, more direct access to me. Just released a new tier. Check out a 7-day free trial. $14.99 a month. Suspiciously looks like $15 a month, but you could pay annually and get 20% off. All right. check out the free trial. If you don't like it, cancel it before it actually activates a real membership, and it'll be no harm, no foul. I won't get my feelings hurt, but at least check that out and give it a shot. I can almost guarantee that it will, you will not be disappointed. Membership pays for itself over and over again. I will never raise the price on you, okay? All right, but that's what I got, guys. Thank you all for your support. I'm coming out with more content here and there, so be on the lookout. And with that being said, I love you all, and take it easy.
You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
One thing to question your mind, it's another to question your eyes and ears.